Alright. Where do we even start with this World's Finals preview? Where do we even start? I can definitely sit here and open this video with a lot of history discussions, right? I mean, Faker's fucking Z play against Ryu was T1 versus KT. You know, the Telecom wars go back over 12 years and into other esports across God knows what games that I have no idea about. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know the whole history of the Telecom wars. I actually did a little Telecom wars revisit on a clip channel like a week ago. I revisited all the Telecom wars that I had watched on stream from like 2024, 2023, like, you know, the recent Telecom wars. Because as much as I love history and stuff, these orgs have a massive long history. And the reason that the Telecom wars bang TLDR is KT versus T1 every year, always banged. In the last few years, BDD versus Faker has always gone insanely hard. I mean, I can go to BDD right now and click 2024, and his last series played last year was against T1 in Game 5, right? Like, the T1 LCK regional final, last spot at Worlds, BDD LeBlanc is insanely fed. The game is turned by Perfect dashing in and Zeus getting him with a snapback on the Perfect ult. And you can look at, like, 2023 as well, which is the exact same story. Just before Worlds, where T1 and KT got 5 games in the fucking summer playoffs finals for the last, not for the last spot, for the 3rd seed, I think it was. That happened in the first round of playoffs. The same thing happened. They can even go back more if you want into like spring of that year, and it's a 5-game series. Like, recent history of T1 versus KT in best of 5s is just great. So that's why in recent times, the Telecom wars are amazing. Obviously, those times are different in terms of like draft and meta and some players, right? Piosik, Deft, Barrel. No Molten Rammus Game 5 there. But let's talk about teams. Let's talk about the teams. KT for the win. Yeah, KT's captured a lot of hearts, which is nice. T1 at Worlds. The first thing that comes to my mind is Keria. I think the first 2 things that come to my mind is Keria and Doran, actually. I think we all saw Keria's game on Nico, where he does all of these flashy things and he finds these crazy engages and stuff like that. But I'll give you 2 points on 2 players which I think are instantly like pivotal, where T1 I think is favored, because I'm talking about T1. And I actually think that they're favored in top and support. Okay? And I'll give you reasonings why. I'm sorry if I miss things. But obviously, Keria I think is a more complete player than Perfect. Than Peter. I think that there's definitely another angle, just quickly before I talk about Keria and Doran, and it's experience. I'm not going to sit here and go down the rabbit hole of experience, but I mean, this T1 roster has, this is their, what is it, 3rd, 4th World Final in a row. 22, 23, 24, it's their 4th World Final in a row. So in terms of experience, they have it. Doran might not, right? But the 4-man does. And Faker's been there for God knows how many times. So I think there's definitely a lot of outside factors that hit you in a finals. When you're on a miracle run and you're low expectations and you're not the favorites and, you know, you're not getting as much time when it comes to doing content or it comes to, like, you know, being pulled out of scrim rooms and being interviewed and all that stuff, it probably doesn't really get to you. But now that you're on World Finals, and you're doing press conference, you're doing all these teasers, filming, you've got no one to scrim really, you're trying to find these fucking bandit mercenary scrim teams. Now it's settling in, you know, it's a week until the World Final, all settling in that you're going to fucking, if you win this best of 5, you're the champions of the world. Experience and mentality is a very important thing. I don't know what KT's is like, but my point is T1's been through it, you know. T1's been through this many times, all of these pulling around non-stop, which is definitely a positive for them. So checkbox for them in terms of experience, that'll help them. I'm not going to say that the series is swayed on experience, but that's a definite bonus that I just thought of quickly. But Keria, for me, is the draft guy, and Doran, for me, in their series versus AL especially, he was the low resource guy that I think 369 in a lot of these lanes was given tools, 369, Flounder, sorry, was given tools to win the lane. You know, early rotate Sion play against Rek'Sai. This one he played Rumble Shore. Early rotate Cassante play against Aurora. Early rotate Ornn play against Mordekaiser. And then he played the Renekton Aatrox matchup where his jungler was trying to figure out what his spells do, asking his mid laner how to clear, and never came top really. And I think Tarzan was also pathing top that game. So he was very heavy weak-sided. So for me, the in-game aspect of Doran and the draft aspect of Keria are their 2 biggest strengths, I think. I think the 4-man of T1 is really good at playing together. And when it comes to draft, we'll talk about Keria first. But obviously, the 2 biggest champions in the fucking tournament for Keria right now is Bard and Nico. And he's going to get one of them. He just is. And you either have to ban both the whole series, which is not going to happen because you've got the Azirs of the world, you've got the Telias of the world, the Rises, the Wukongs, the Rumbles. And when Keria plays these champions, I feel like he just warps the game. Like, the mechanics that he knows on them, the playmaking potential, I mean, they provide different things, you know, like the Nico's more engage base, lane winning base, the Bard's more, you know, give up lane and roam around base. So Keria has all of these things that he can do in a series where he's Keria, right? Is he going to play a hook champ? Is he going to play an engage champ? Is he going to play Seraphine? Hasn't played Pyke yet. Is Bard open? Is Nico open? That's slammed. Is Renata open, you know? So in terms of depth of pool, level of play, like Keria is scary in a draft. Very scary. Because Keria and Doran kind of go hand in hand right now in a very strong way. Mid jungle is early rotated. It just is. You pick Azir, you pick Orianna, you pick Ryze, you pick Talia, you pick Galio, you pick Hui, you pick some fucker that can push the lane, right? In jungle, you pick the engage, you pick the Wukong, you pick the Jarvan, you pick the god knows what, the Xin Zhao, you pick the Poppy, you flex that motherfucker, you know. So mid jungle is giving already in draft. 1-2. AD carry is also giving in draft early. You pick the Varus, you pick the whatever, the Jhin, the Yunara, whatever's open. It's top and support where picks are saved in this meta right now. Mid is not dropped that often until game 4 or 5. Jungle's hardly ever dropped unless there's OP picks open. So if you have a top laner that is willing to give and blind pick tanks when necessary and play against Mordekaisers and play against Aurora tops and play against Ambessas and Rek'Sais, and you have a support that is Keria, these two things are just beautiful together, you know? You might have less firepower when you have someone like Zeus who can just slam a Jace and fuck them in lane. When you draft in a best of 5 and you have someone that can just pick a tank top and you can counter pick bot, your what is it? Your system, your core is strong, very strong. Your core is really good. You have tank top engage, you have AD carry jungle, you have either roaming mid or scaling mage mid, that's the meta, so you get anything in support. This opens up Keria to play whatever he wants in support if Doran can play these frontliners. Your comp is always stable. If you have too many, I don't know, if you have too much offense, I guess is the way of thinking about it, and you have like the carry tops, and you have the carry jungles, and you have the carry mids, you know, it just doesn't work. That's why this game, Owner had to play Mundo. He just had to. He just needs to play it, because otherwise, what can Keria not do? He can't play Seraphine. Doran has given Game 1, Rumble's OP, Game 3, and Game 4. He's given 3 out of 5 games this series. He can't give more. He's run out of tanks. He's going to pick Renekton. He needs a strong top laner. So someone else has to give. Owner has to give, right? So these two things go hand in hand. And I think Doran played the weak side pretty well. I will say, for me, Flandre did kind of get the upper hand in the lanes, right? The CS numbers were rough. Doran was a little bit behind. Especially, I think this Renekton game is the better example. You can see, like, the way Doran's playing, that obviously this game, he's off of the Orns, he's off of the Scions, he's off of the Rek'Sais, he's off the Cassantes. But you can see the resource-wise, right? Like, Owner needs to path bot into his ranged bot lane matchup, right? They're playing double ranged bot into double ranged bot. Like, they have to play for bot, around bot, 2 bot, 4 bot. So when it comes to pockets of vision, Doran is kind of gifted a little bit, and then he's just playing in isolation the whole game. I'm just going to put the camera on him. Yo, Doran, swap bot and give up your fucking lane so we can freeze top and we can gank them on the freeze, or we can like punish them and we can zone them from the cannon, you know? All of these things are done, and Doran is the one that's just going to be put behind for it, right? So as the game like progresses, you'll see that Doran is just left on an island to himself, by himself, for himself. And that style is, and the reason I say it's a strength is because, like I said, it opens up carry and draft, but I also think I don't see Perfect as the player that's going to take advantage of it. Does that make sense? Like, if they had an insanely OP top laner that is played for or towards a little bit, I definitely think that Doran could struggle, but I don't think that this selfless level of play is punishable by KT. Perfect's going to pick a champion to champ, whether it's Cassante, Rek'Sai, whether it's Sion versus Ornn, whether it's maybe a Mordekaiser here or there, or an Ambassador or a Rumble, and the game will be 4v4. Perfect can try and like interact and join the game as much as you want, but the only reason I'm showing this is just to show that the example of like, this is the way T1 will likely play. They're even doing it in a Renekton game, which is a bit more skewed because they have Ashe Seraphine, but this is generically a fast-forwarded clip of the game progressing and Doran just kind of chilling. Does that mean Doran's like not a good carry top player? No. But this core of the game is what T1 did against AL. It is, whether it's champ or gameplay, this is top lane POV. Will he get a cover? Will he get some help? Will he get some, you know, Doran just survive and we'll cover you. There's definitely like games you can look at and be like, well, Doran played Camille top this game and he kind of fried. I agree. Doran can play carry tops. That's great. But I think the biggest series to look at for me is the AL series. And I think that's a strength that they have. What is it? A strength that they have for the finals. So I would say for Doran, likely, my feeling is there's a world where he plays Rumble. But I think once engaged supports start going out and tank tops are the focus. Because I also think, what is perfect champion pool? Isn't perfect like leaning towards bruisery tank tops as well? I mean, it is the meta, right? When do they pick perfect, actually? It's crazy that it was 3-1, isn't it? For some reason, every time I think of Genji KT, I think of it being a fucking 3-2. Perfect played Rek'Sai into Ambessa, Rumble into Sion, and K'Sante, Ornn. Do you see the similarities in the way that they're drafting? You know, I'll kind of align them in a way. Renata, Kalista with the Ornn, you know, they play the Ornn, they play the Kai'Sa Neeko, they play the Ashe Seraphine, they play the K'Sante, they can play Gumayusi Ziggs, which I'm not a too fan of. They play whatever weak side top it is, it unlocks bot lane. They play whatever weak side top it is, it unlocks bot lane. Range support matchup into melee. Carry top into tank. Carry top into tank. Melee support. Play for bot. 2 bot. 4 bot. Tank here. Tank there. Give up top. Unless Rumble's open. And play the game. This style has like evolved itself a little bit for these teams, right? When it comes to styles, they match up pretty similarly actually. Now that I see it, I think Sion is going to be either banned or picked, depending on Trundle. Ornn K'Sante will be early rotated somewhere. Rek'Sai will be one of the answers to the tank blinds. And Bessa Renekton will be traded. And both tops will just play heavy tank meta and weak side. I think this game might actually just be a 4v4 game, looking at it. Genji, I think, is also kind of... Some teams play the 4v4 game and they match you and they leave their top in isolation, right? Like, I can play 4v4 against you with these champs. I can play 4v4 against you with these champs and both tops are in isolation. And me counterpicking your Ornn means if top is in isolation, I should win in isolation, right? Well, yes. But when you rock up the team fights, who's more OP? The Ornn who presses R on my fucking Ashe Lulu or my Draven? Or the Aatrox that gets chain CC'd and dies to a first-time Mundo or whatever, you know? Shit like that. So, top lane stylistically, very similar. Actually, I'm surprised. KT had side selection, right? Okay, another guess or assumption here that I'll make, this is very assumption-based, right? Is looking at the way both these teams play and looking at the fact that AL started to lean... like, for example, if you could go back in your AL in Game 5, do you pick... blue side? I would pick red side in hindsight, actually. I would pick red side in that game 5. In hindsight, obviously. I know now that they're going to like play Mundo and they're going to play Ashe Seraphine. And I wonder if KT pick blue side early in the series, obviously, because there's so many OPs. Like, if I'm KT and I'm playing against T1, why would I not pick blue game 1? Because of one champion, Azir, you know? You have the 2 biggest Azir players in the entire galaxy universe on the planet. BDD, 168 games Azir. Second most played Talia at 92. Faker, 197 Azir games. Next played Orianna at 94. Like, these are the 2 single biggest Azir players on the actual globe. So, blue side is obviously super important. So, let's talk about draft a little bit quickly. So, there's obviously a lot of meta OPs, you know. What was T1 banning on red side against AL? They banned Trundle for an early rotation Sion. They banned Yunara against Hope. What is Hope's... yeah, Yunara prio. What is Doctam's Yunara situation? Doctam has 3 Yunara games, 33% win rate. Was KT banning Yunara against Genji? They played against it, didn't they? Genji banned Yunara blue game 1. KT banned it game 2. Genji banned it game 3. KT banned it game 4. I thought they played against Yunara once. Was it against CFO? No, they played against Doggo, Corki. They banned Yunara on blue. They banned Yunara on blue. So if you're wondering why teams ban Yunara on blue, it's obviously because sometimes there's too many OPs, right? And that might sound very weird, okay? If there's too many OPs, you need to start banning OPs because the way blue side works is you have to trade in even numbers or you have to trade in like 1 or 5, okay? And what it means by that is like, let's say Orianna's open, Yunara's open, Wukong's open, right? These 3 champs are open. And Azir's banned, Sion's banned, Poppy's banned, whatever the fuck it is, Talia's banned. If I first pick anything, I'm trading down. I'm trading 1 for 2. That's just the way it is. So I have to ban one, right? So let's say I ban Yunara on blue. Now it's Wukong Orianna. So now minimum, I'm trading 1 for 1, and they have last ban on red, right? Now I could not ban Yunara and gamble it, and ban, like, I don't know, Jarvan, some fucking random champ. But now there's 3 OPs. And if the enemy drafter or coach, whatever, knows there's 3 OPs, here they would ban something completely random that you would probably pick on 2-3. Like, I don't know, Cassante is a good 2-3 ban, for example. Or, I don't know, Xin Zhao is a good 2-3 ban. And now, or like into Wukong. And now if Wukong, Orianna, and Yunara are up, I have to trade down. There's nothing I can do. I'm fucked. So that's why sometimes you're like, huh, Yunara ban on blue side. They're probably scared that they're trading down. And that's the reason they do it. Doctam Yunara, yeah, it looks like some teams ban it against him. So I would safely assume that, like, if you're T1 on red side and looking at their trajectory of bans, Yunara ban on red side to be expected. Azir ban on red side to be expected. They banned Azir because Talia was banned, right? In game 1, Top Esports banned Azir when Yone was banned. And in game 3, T1 banned Azir when Talia was banned. So there's a world where Talia, Azir are the trades. KT banned Talia on blue, which forced Azir ban, because they know this from the test series. Yunara is an auto ban. Then they can ban Bard, and then I don't know what happens. Like, T1 could ban, like, Trundle last to force a Sion first pick, or a Sion denial 1-2 and trade Cassante. Wukong could be a first pick. Okay, draft is cooking very hard. But quick thing for T1, obviously power picks. Top lane, we went through it. They're going to play tank tops. Jungle, we can go through it, but he's going to play Xin Zhao, Wukong, Jarvan, whatever the fuck. Mid lane, Faker is always prioing any mid laner that can right click around the map, or a good strong mage. So, you know, he'll play Galio or Ryze or Talia or anything that can roam around. And then you'll move to mages. Guma has been leaning a little bit to more early rotation Varus, which is cropped up. I wonder if actually maybe Varus ban is pretty good. You know, if I'm Genji and if I'm KT and I'm targeting T1, I think KT needs to definitely look at Talia ban to force Azir ban, Trundle ban to force Sion ban, Varus ban, Bard ban or Nico ban, and Poppy ban. These are by far the best bans that they can do on blue side. Poppy flex on red, disgusting. Bard or Nico, need to deal with it or first pick the other. Varus ban, take that away. Talia or Trundle ban to force bans. Like an easy world is like I ban Talia, they ban Azir. You know, I ban Varus, they ban Yunara, I ban Bard. Let's say they ban Trundle. Now it's Armageddon, right? This is Armageddon. Because Orianna's open, Nico is open, Sion is open, Rumble is open. And here the trade isn't so bad. You know, you first pick Orianna. I think T1, their best response to Orianna is something like Galio. So they don't have to pick that here. There's Wukong open as well, right? So this is actually a good trade for who? For KT. Why? Because no matter what instance I run here, KT probably wins. Let's say I first pick Orianna, okay? What do you pick from the OPs? There's 5, right? It's a perfect number for blue side if there's 5 open. Because if you take Wukong and you take Nico, then actually that would be your best rotation by far. Wukong, Nico. Because then you can match Sion, Rumble. Anyway, actually both teams get kind of... Bro, this meta, you're going to get OPs no matter what. They go Wukong, Nico. You can take like Sion, Karma maybe. Is probably your best bet. And they'll go Rumble. Red side is kind of in a good spot there. So then what do you first pick? Do you first pick Nico? They get Orianna and you play like Galio into it yourself. They lose Galio. God, okay, game 1's Armageddon. But I guess the best way to look at it is whatever KT bans, T1 needs to respond with, but T1 is quite limited unless they're crazy. Their locked ban is Yunara, unless they're crazy. But Trundle ban is for Sion. Talia ban is for Azir. You know, stuff like that. Wukong ban and Rumble ban are just OPs. Stuff like that. So that's for draft. Can we talk about Cuz for a second? Because how fucking incredible is Cuz? I know BDD is also someone we need to talk about. But is Cuz fair? Does this guy lose in any matchup? In any game? Even this KT game that they played against Genji, he had an early lead. His Qiyana, I can definitely like criticize it a little bit, his Qiyana. But I feel like Cuz was just an absolute demon this game. These games, I mean... I would love to actually just review one game. Why not? Where is KT Genji game 3? Cuz has turned into one of the most complete junglers of the tournament, you know. He plays Poppy in game 3 or 2, and then he plays Mundo in game 4. He plays Jarvan blinds, he plays Wukong, he plays anything you need, you know. Like, this guy has probably got the confidence to play any champion you need. Also, playing this Azir matchup is quite difficult, I will say. Azir into Orianna is not an easy matchup, especially post like level 4, level 5 when GTV's back the first time. But Cuz and Peter, I don't know if this game is the best example for Peter specifically. One of the things I've actually appreciated a lot about Peter and the way that KT is played is that there's a lot more index in supporting mid. Like, BDD is getting the homies, and the homies will help. And you can see from some of their later summer games, you will see that Peter and Cuz collapse on mid a lot more. And I don't know if this is something that he's learned in scrims. This is like an unlucky death from BDD that's going to come up, I think. Is this the game that he gets solo kill or whatever by the flash QW? But a lot of Peter's time is invested more towards mid. Two big things that Peter's gotten better on. Obviously, it's his first Worlds. It's his first World Finals. I know that him and Perfect are like players that people look at being like, how the fuck are they here? But they're stable, they do their jobs well, and their improvement curve comes from mainly being more supportive towards their team in terms of giving towards mid-jungle. And also, like, this is not the best game because he's playing Lulu, but Peter's engages have gotten so much better. I don't know if Peter just, like, grabbed Duro and said, your engage skill is now mine, yoinkies or some shit. But the way they hover to each other, the way they play Vision, Peter's engages have just been so much more solid. And the gate... Where I credit T1 for their drafting style. You know what I talked about? This cube of draft that they've got with giving top counters, all that stuff. KT have that, but in the way that the game is played. Like, their tempo matching is insane. They're like, even these first 7 minutes. Did you see what happened in these first 7 minutes? It's insane, isn't it? Let's just take notes, okay? Note number 1. They have bot push. What do they do with bot push? They full clear into bot grab. They put 3 wards down in bot side jungle so they can spot enemy jungle on his respawn. Poppy bases. Poppy cycles her top camps. And she's going to her grump. Peter bases and says, Leona could go mid. Be careful, I'm coming mid to cover. B's careful. 3 wards. Sees Leona. BDD plays accordingly. Both support and jungle. Collapse mid. Cover BDD. Give him a push out. What does that do? That gives BDD a good base over Chovy. So now BDD is up in tempo against Chovy, who is now going to come into this lane, receive the wave, and he can push the next if he wants. Second clear. Cuz clears into bot. Bot push. Bot wave being contested. Jungle waiting for support. Comes together. Takes crab. Ward hover. BDD's fresh from mid and he's first because he got a base. They get Drake. Then they get Drake. They press B together. They base. They open top. Are we fucking... Hello? This is like if I was to write a script of how to play the game correctly. Nothing has been made a mistake. And this is where team play versus individual play is a very important thing. I can look at Docdam and I can say, maybe you missed like 8 CS in this lane. Sure. Maybe your trade pattern wasn't good. Sure. But when they need to push, when they need to hover, when they need to get the crab, when they need to put wards down, when they need to get, like, regain tempo to mid, when they need to start Drake, like, the fundamentals are insane. And you know how I said that they always help out BDD, the homie? They put their bot lane mid. Into Chovy, 7 minutes. They put their bot lane mid, they push out Chovy. You know, it's very easy for Ashe to be like, I'm taking over top, can you base here, Cassante? Well, Cassante has no TP and you want these grubs. So what they do is, they relieve the tempo of their mid laner, who wants to press B. They take over for one wave. The enemy mid has not pressed B, or maybe it did earlier, I don't know. Azir then opens on the grubs, and they're 5-man position. And their top laner stayed. Like, it's... And then you can talk about the team fight and the engage, and you should do this, and you should do that, and you should do this. I'm not going to look at like the team fight specifically, because that's very individual play. They play it slow, they play it as a team at least. But their understanding of map play, tempo, like their support jungle, everything, matching bases, same side. It feels like I'm watching Gen G play against Gen G. This is what Gen G was insane at. This is why Duro and Canyon often just ran the game domestically. Same side hover, and what they would do, Chovy goes to a side lane. They hover for Chovy. They give Chovy dives and gold and all this and all that. But Gen G doesn't do it to them. Apparently KT is now Gen G. Hover to bot, get bot push. Hover towards mid, look with arrow, look for vision. Give BDD a bit of push. Go back to clearing camps. Base together. All 3 open on the same side. Cuz will come to the same side as well. Drake's inside. I don't know how much time. Peter's hovering towards mid. Cuz is clearing around. They're meeting each other again. Perfect play. When you do the game like that, and when you play the game like that, options will come to you. because you're playing the game correctly on where you need to be at the right time. Their timers for these objectives, insane. Sure, maybe some of their individual play could be better. If you look at the names and say, oh, well, Perfect was down, like, I don't know, he was down like 10, 20 CS in this lane before he took his first base or some shit, so he was like losing before the TP, right? He was getting a bit pushed in and like, you know, you can look at lane or whatever the fuck you want to look at. Again, 3-man base timer. What is fucking happening? Herald's in 130. We just took Drake. Like, these sequences are insane, aren't they? Like, am I just fucking tripping? Look at the vision line that they have and look at the timers that they have. I need to go back and watch this. Grub's play is done, okay? Grub's play is done. AD support click bot. Jungle clicks bot, okay? This is the same game 2 minutes after the most perfect sequence. Clear one camp while bot lane's catching the wave. Clear pink. Clear one more camp while bot lane's contesting the wave. Clear another camp. Full clear. Fair enough. Comes into bot. Hovers for their support. AD sweeps, takes pink. They hover with him. Sure, the arrow doesn't hit. Wards being put down from Lulu. Kaz says, okay, enough done here. You guys are basing. My mid laner's basing. I'll clear camps. Okay, I'm going to base and meet you bot. Okay, let's meet bot. Don't contest too hard. Don't walk in. You know, Peter's not walking into their jungle to put wards down. He has 2 wards. He's not a fucking idiot. He knows how to play the game. He's waiting for his jungler. His jungler comes, does his camp. They meet together. They get a play. It comes to them. They get the play. They kill. They get Drake. They can't fight. Genji's in number disadvantage. They force them out. Katie push bot wave. 3-man press B. Herald's up soon. Cassante's basing. Opening bot. Like, it's almost like the theory of the game is injected into their brain and they're playing like they're Genji, you know? So I hope you realize that one of KT's biggest strengths is this. This is it. This is their biggest strength. You can look at the names of the players and be like, well, they have a B tier player on top, whatever. They have a C tier player in this. But they have the meta and the level of tempo down to a fucking T. They just do. They just have it down to a T. And the reason you can look at this and be like, well, Genji did that as well, or T1 does that too. Sure. Everyone does this. This is how the game should be played. This is tempo, this is macro, this is it. But it's like a dance, okay? The best way to describe tempo is a dance. If you're dancing in a group of 5 and someone missteps their dance, you either have to wait for him to get back up or you're all gonna fall over. And that's literally what League is. If you fuck up your base, you cancel your base, you take a horrible trade, the dance is over. Now, everyone's attention is shifted to the hole. We're in our boat, we're sailing down the river, we're going at perfect speed, and we will arrive at the right time in the dock. But now there's a hole in my ship. So now everything's grounded. And you have to wait an extra wave, or another 2 waves, or another 3 waves until you fix that hole. Bot lane's taking bad trades, top lanes lost their TP because they fucked up level 4, and now my top laner doesn't have TP, so when I do sequences where I need him to TP bot and I need to run top, I can't do that now. So my options are slimming. So when you have stable laners, stable players, and you have really good macro understanding, as a team, you can reach heights that maybe your individual players, the sum of their parts doesn't come together to fight against the firepower of like the Genji solo laners. But because you've got good positions and game states, you always have good chances and options. You know, they play their comp well. They kite back in fights. They don't overextend in fights. Everything they're doing is sequential. And that's so important if you want to be a Worlds finalist. You need this to be like you're on autopilot and you can do it blindfolded. And that's what scrims do. You play scrims fucking 8 hours a day and you drill this in your head. You fucking drill it. And it's until you drill it to the point where you do not drop the ball that you can become a consistently insanely good team. But if you drop the ball once, now everyone has to pick up the ball with you. And they don't drop the ball. They don't. This whole game, no ball dropping. Everything is just full team play, full cover, full patience, perfect timers, and the options will come to you. Look at it from Genji's perspective. I mean, we can look at it from Genji's perspective as well. But I can tell you that maybe a lot of the Genji stuff that happens is either A, I think that they're losing bot matchup, but B, they're also slightly off tempo to what KT's doing, right? Like, the problem is, if you can't tango with the enemy team and match them on the play, then you need to go somewhere else and you need to make your own play. And if you don't match them in tango and you don't make your own play, you're gonna fucking bleed. And when you bleed, you die. So you lose the game. And that's what they tried to do. What do? They tried to look for options through mid. But everything that they try is just matched. Every option they look through top. Perfect's weak siding. Ruler wants to swap top. Let's look at it from Genji POV. Let's get top push I'll fast push top, and we should have numbers on the grubs. Okay, well, they've put their bot lane mid and fast push mid. Their play was better because now they're first, right? I'll show you the hole. Okay, do you want to see the first hole? The first hole is here from KT. I can show you the hole. Chovy says, "Oh, I got this mid wave. Grubs are in 40 seconds. I'm gonna base right now, and I'll be first on grubs. It's a cannon wave. He has to push it. Can you delay Azir? Can you like stop his base, Duro? Can you hold the wave? Can you do whatever the fuck you can? Azir needs to base, whatever it is. Maybe it doesn't need to delay the base. Genji POV, Azir needs to base, yeah? Azir needs to press B now. I mean, he can stay, but he's half mana and he probably has a lot of gold. Orianna's up a base on him. Let's take Grub's vision. I can push this wave and we can take Grub's vision. Wait, their bot lane's mid. The hold is now covered. Azir is coming out of base, even though he's delayed. If bot lane didn't take over this wave and went top, they could push this mid wave in and take full vision of Grubs and you wouldn't have this entrance, right? So like, KT cover the hole, I guess, in a way, is the best way to look at it. A play that Genji think that they can have certainty on is covered by their bot lane going mid. Stuff like that, you know? And then, yeah, that hopefully, like, sums up the game a little bit in terms of, like, how the map is supposed to be played and how the whole tango situation works. Yeah, great game from KT. I think this is definitely one of their better games. I do think KT has a pretty solid draft. When you're playing melee support and Pantheon, you're on a timer. You need to keep looking at your watch because it's fucking tick-tock. And if you don't play the game against Ashe, Lulu, Azir, K'Sante, there will be a point in time where it's 2 items on the fucking microwave. Ding, you're fucked. So it's kind of a game where Genji has lanes that are kind of losing, but also they need to be very proactive in finding plays. And the way you are proactive in finding plays is you team up with support jungle and you have to just keep sending it. Like here, you have to be ready to like send it, but Sivir is catching waves. And every timer that KT is doing, where's the window? I need to open the window and play the window. And now I want to open the window and play the window, but Chovy's dead. So, you know, the ball's been dropped here. If Chovy flashes this Azir ult right now and actually doesn't get caught, this Drake is now suddenly contestable. And their champs are good at fighting. Very good. There's a no-flash Ashe and there's a no-flash Lulu on my screen. And there's a Leona with ult coming up. Or already up, rather. So if Chovy doesn't get caught here and Ruler can just catch this bot wave and push and they can group here and come through bot into Drake with Orianna alive, it's a free play. Azir no ult, Orianna no flash, Drake's gone, and now you can start snowballing the game, right? And that's where, like, I know I'm yapping really hard now. This is where, like, holes appear in the ship, I guess, right? Here, like, Chovy just needs to flash that. And now you're kind of cooked a little bit. Well, not kind of cooked. You can still, like, match their tempo, you know? Let me try and show you another example of it. Let's look at just quick thing. Quick thing. I'll show you it now. Let's look at this just quickly, and maybe it will like answer a bit more questions of everything. KT push bot. What do? They press B. They click on the top side of the map. Everybody clicks on the top side of the map. Poppy does her camps. And now there is a complete map hack on KT. 15 seconds before Herald. And Orianna no flash top lane. From a bot play that was matched by Genji. They have a map hack, they have a fucking free kill, and they have a free objective. Let's go back for Genji's position. Who dropped the fucking ball? Because I'm pretty sure that we were all in bot lane on the same tempo a second ago. And if anything, Genji got bot wave first. Canyon stays on the map. Half HP, goes to Grump. Ults mid, gets nothing. Actually, he kills BDD here, I think, no? Nope, he gets BDD's flash. Now, Canyon is completely off tempo and has to do his camps. So what does that mean? Leona is by herself and cannot ward too much. She puts one sneaky ward, that's it. Canyon then presses his B button. Leona, sorry, has to press her B button and refresh her wards. So now jungle support are completely disconnected. Chovy wants to contest top wave. Canyon now needs to base with no ult. And where is the fucking dance? Nobody's dancing. We're all fucking trolling each other. You know what I mean? This is it. The ball was never picked up, you know? Genji or KT or a unit. Same side, same tempo, same play, on the same wards. Everything on the same wave. Genji wants to do Grump, push out top. They want to ult mid. Like, the game, you can't drop the ball like this. They have to press B with Canyon. They have to open top, do red, and fight here, you know? Stuff like that, you know? And maybe they don't win the fight, you know? But Chovy getting solo kill doesn't help. Pantheon losing here doesn't help. These holes, the ship is fucking sinking. But my main point about KT is, I hope you see, is that as a unit, they're very strong. Very, very strong. And that's like big credit to them as a team. And they complement each other very, 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 very well. We'll see if T1 can like break that, because you can obviously see the rundown comes back to draft, right? We've gone through T1 a little bit in terms of their players. The teams that they were playing in, so play a lot of carries and mini supports. The teams that are now in the finals were playing tank tops and range supports. And you will maybe expect me to go through a T1 VOD right now. But T1 does the same thing in terms of like the dance. Drafts the same. KT and T1, I feel like, share all of these similarities. All of them. I don't know. I think the scariest thing if I'm KT when I play against T1 is clutch factor. Which, I mean, I would say most of the T1 players just have it. Clutch factor is such a, I don't know what the word is. It's such an indescribable thing, you know? Like, you know how I just showed you all of these dancing? All of this tango, smooth, ballet, perfect objective setup. Yeah, what happens when someone just drives through the fucking wall with a Hummer vehicle with 2 fucking missiles on the front? Nobody's dancing then. And that's kind of what the clutch factor is, you know. Something's winning and everything's going great, and then you kill the enemy AD carry, and then Faker Galio does his thing. Or you feel like you're ahead, the dance is going well, you're setting up good bot vision, and all of a sudden you hear Baron Nashor's been slain. And these are like the unquantifiables. I would say both teams equal in draft, very equal in terms of team play and skill. I would say T1 slightly more favored in terms of the individuals, you know. I think Perfect and Doran will be in this series. They will be left to do their own thing. They will be doing their own dance with one another, and they won't be interacting with each other much. I think junglers, mids, and bots will all be playing together, and everything will revolve around mid and bot push. They will draft the same champs. They will play into the same lanes. And it's just a case of who drops the ball first, you know, who makes that mistake or who goes for the play. And I would say that T1 is the team that is probably the ones to test the water first in that sense. I'm talking a lot on analogies right now to make it make more sense. T1 is the ones who will be the ones to make that step first, I feel like. Also, quick thing about Faker Talia. That guy, insanity on his W. I don't know if that guy's W is bugged, but Faker Talia W is just bugged, I think. It's just bugged. He doesn't miss that shit. So, I guess the key to all of this is bot matchup, right? Like, for me, a lot of this key is bot matchup. It is. That's why, the more I think about this, I really do think banning Guma is just needed. I really think they just need to ban Guma KT. I don't think T1's going to get it, unless they're blue side. I can see a world where game 2 blue side, T1 pick Varus. It's crazy that T1 was down 1-2. Yeah, I would say we can go through this game, actually. I don't remember the game off the top of my head very well, but there's one thing that I kind of remember. And I think this is something that you can look at very well for T1. And it kind of comes back to the dance a little bit. So, you know how I talked about the dance? And, you know, they base together, they go top, they push this wave, they do that, and then this happens. Sometimes the dance, I know I'm using a lot of analogies, the dance goes on for a long time. You're fucking tangoing and you're being pulled around for sometimes 30 seconds, sometimes for a minute if you're going to set up grubs early game. The early game sequences don't really last that long, you know. Normally you have these situations where everyone bases, they open into a lane, you have a grubs fight, bang, sequence ends. That's it. Early game sequences are very quick. You get this dive, the game's basically over, whatever. Or you go for the fight on grubs, it's over. The dance is quick. The mid to late game is where the dance is a long dance. And you get pulled around the map. And all of these minor things happen. And dropping the ball is a lot more likely, you know? When the dance is for like 2 minutes around Baron on Vision and you're basing for wards and cycling, are they on it? Are they on it? Are they going for this and get that? And now they're hitting your bot tier 2. Oh, I have to stop the bot tier 2. I have TP, I can go bot, you know. This is where I see T1's biggest strength as a team, is they pounce on you very quickly. Very quickly, they will pounce on you. They will dance with you in these mid to late games, And this is why it's called the T1 Baron, you know? Because they'll be fighting you around here for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute's gone by. They're pushing top, they're fighting you around here. Carry a space, he's got wards. Blink, they're on Baron. And the dance goes on for a while. And this is why I think T1 as a team is quite strong. And they force you into a mistake, or they play a game of chicken with you. And this is what I think KT's going to have to be very careful about. I talked about individual players, but more so on the team play side. When you're chunking top tier 1 and trying to defend it, now they're basing, and now I need to base for wards on Kael, and now I'm going to put my TP here, and I'm going to, you know, are they starting it? I have no vision. Oh, they started it. Oh, fuck, they're on it. How do we stop this? You know, are they not? And now, boom, they're on a team fight, and you're engaged on, and you're dying, you know. And then there's like a dance around Dragon, you know. These are the dances that I'm talking about, where I think the T1 will pounce on KT. You know, I'll just play it, right? And you can see how long sequences like this go on for. I mean, it starts with a fight around Baron, which ends in half of the fucking map being dead, into base open as 5, which is what their comp should do. They want to engage. Doran's like sweeping wards over here. Faker is completely ignoring bot wave. You know, sometimes you gotta stop dancing. And to stop dancing, you gotta farm. So you would think that Victor here would see LeBlanc pushing bot and be like, I need to catch bot wave. But no, he won't catch bot wave, because then they can fucking force Baron with TP or something. So Faker's just gonna go click your blue buff and give up an entire cannon and a half wave. And Doran's gonna be in your face, making you think that they're going Baron. Here, you just lost the fight. Ornn is clicking in my top side, sweeping my wards. So if I'm Leona, I'm thinking, I think they're gonna do Baron here. I need to get wards down. Nope, Faker's gonna go for your blue buff, right? And this is the thing with like pulling you around the map and dancing with you, and you know, let's go on Ornn, let's go on Ornn. They're taking our blue. Come TP. This guy's inting, no? Like, isn't this guy trolling? Let's go on Ornn. And all of a sudden, you find yourselves halfway through the dance, and you're like, shit. We have no mid push. My mid tower's dead. Shit, they're not on Baron. My blue buff's gone. Shit, now I'm losing mid wave. I have to catch. Shit, I'm showing mid. They might engage on us. And this is where T1 like really gets you, I feel like, because they don't really drop the ball very much in these sequences. And every time you drop the ball against them, it's like they kind of hit you with a jab, you know. And every jab they hit you with, it like builds up and builds up and builds up to like a pinnacle where you either engage on them, or you either engage on them, or they engage on you, or someone flips it. Someone decides, you know what, fuck it, you know. And through all this sequences from a fight that is, I would say, I don't know how you would rate this fight, but let's go back and actually just check. It's 3 for 3 on a fight that's 3 for 3, and both teams have lingering wards around Baron. Nothing too deep, I would say, just pretty much standard vision. It's gone from a point of we can fight them, we can contest. Let's group up. I have TP advantage. I have bot push. I've got mid wave. Are they doing Baron with Ornn to A, losing blue buff, B, losing your mid tier 2 because you overgroup on Baron to try and force it in trade, and then C, T1 is dancing with you here for a while, looking at you on mid, and now Drake's gone. So this is where T1 like eats you up. They just jab, jab, jab. And if you don't react well enough and force them into you, you will just bleed. And that's their biggest strength, I think. And then T1 decides on their terms when you want to fight. And they decide we're going to fight. They see one misposition. Flandre, no flash on Mordekaiser, the strongest player in the game. Chain CC'd, dead. The game is over. It's over. They've taken your mid tier 2. They've taken Drake. They're on soul point, and your top laner's now dead. How can you play the game now? Granted, sure, they don't actually get Baron off this. I think there's a world where T1 actually do force the Nash off this, but they don't want to flip it, I guess. They want to hold the game in a winning position. I actually haven't seen the sequence from AL's POV, so we can look at it. Because Leona has no wards. I'm guessing it's because LeBlanc just kind of pushes them off, or what? Oh, they turn, they kill Corki. And this is the thing that's annoying about T1. It's like, I understand AL's perspective. Sure, Hope walks up too far, but it's I think this is game 4 or some shit. I don't actually know. It's match point, whatever it is. They're thinking, fuck, they're on Baron. We need to stop them. We need to stop them. They're on Nash. How do we stop them? Boom. You get forced into a mistake. You die. And T1 is very good at forcing you into mistakes. And every time you make a mistake, they get something. They get something. They get something. They get something. A kill here. Whatever it here. And they'll keep doing this. Now, the disadvantage of some of this sometimes is if you don't get sucked into it, you will be rewarded sometimes. So if you go back in the sequence, right? Let's pretend I'm Shanks. And I say, nah, there's no way to do Nash. I'm going to hit bot tier 1 until they show. and you call the bluff, now what? Now they have to kind of collapse on you, T1. You're losing a tower, you know. So maybe this is not the best example because you don't have much vision, but maybe Leona comes down here, puts a ward, Shanks just comes bot instead of just TPing here and panicking, you know. Like here, for example, LeBlanc says, they're pushing mid. Yeah, go on Ornn, I'm TPing. No, that's not going to work. You need to, if they're going to pick you apart, you need to pick them apart as well. So a good example of this would be LeBlanc comes mid, hovers for a wave, goes bot and starts pushing. And why? Because then that forces T1 into something. I have no TP. I have no TP. LeBlanc is pushing my bot towers. Let's force her TP. So then you get bot tier 1, yourself, and then you TP in. Which isn't as bad, you know? So that's kind of the way you would have to answer it. But it's again, like, these sequences go on for a long time. Let's actually just look at one thing. You know what would be really funny to look at, to maybe sum this all up? Let's look at Faker. Let's look at his CS number. Deal? Let's look at his CS number. Faker has 239 CS. The game is at 24 minutes 40 seconds. He gets one more midwave, 246 CS. And now this is where the quote-unquote whatever the fuck dance thing begins. Pushes top. And now it begins. Force Baron, TP behind them. Fist fight, die. 254 CS. He could just be farming sides. I don't really have to force these things. But of course they're T1, so they're going to do this to you. And they're going to pick you apart. And they're going to eat you alive. No waves. Take blue buff. La 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 la. Poke them a bit. Take a bit of the mid wave, but Guma got most of it. Take a mid tier 2. La 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 la. Help him get Drake. Got 1 CS there in that fight. Fight, kill Mordekaiser. D. Get a little bit of that wave. Got another wave for minion from it. Guma's getting most of it. Fight around here. Get a kill. Base, maybe. Should I base? Base? No, I'll check Baron. Bases. Opens top. Right, run a wave. How long was that? That was 6 minutes of jumping around and fighting. From 24:45 did he leave space to 30 minutes. He got 20 minions. Do you see what I mean? He doesn't care. Of course he doesn't care. Why? Because he's getting mid tier 2. He's getting Drake. Kai'Sa's getting the waves. And the reason he doesn't have to do this is because he's not being forced to answer you anywhere. He will just do these things, and when they group as these units, they will make these small plays, or these small Baron forces, and T1 is very good at testing the water. What's the temperature of the water? Is it warm? Ooh, it's hot. Okay, I won't do it. I'll go back to my waves. What's the temperature of the water? Oh, it's lukewarm? Okay, what if we go into the water a bit more, you know? And it's not until you come out and you stop them, or you do something somewhere to make them respond, that they'll just keep testing the water. And you can see for 6 minutes straight, that's what happens. Let's see what happens after. I have no idea. He got 1 wave. Gets a 2nd wave. And now we're back to dancing yet? No, we're going to do another wave. Baron Force. Again, testing the waters. Look at these openings that they get. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Look at this. So that's Keria there. He turns into Guma. Look at these openings they get. They find holes in you everywhere. And if you don't cover them, look at this. This is Keria on Nico. Look at this is not a highlight reel, you know. But look at these windows that they find. It's dangerous, isn't it? They start up the Baron. AL gets sucked in. Oh, they're on Nash. We need to stop them. It's insane, isn't it? He just gets spotted by the wave. Just. But that is seconds away from disaster. That is game losing. Seconds away from the game just being instantly over. If he was just 1 second quicker, your game's over. Because Keria is now in this bush and you're on Baron. So they pull off. They test the waters. You see what I mean? Let's have a look. See what it is. Keria is still behind you, by the way. He hasn't left. And now they're Nocturne ulting. So you actually can't see him. I can see him in the spectate. But Shanks just saw him. Thankfully, Shanks is like, Nico! Watch out! So the play maybe doesn't turn into as much as they would have wanted. But I think AL go a bit too deep here or whatever. And Keria dies or T1 win, you know. But I hope you understand that this is T1 strength. And I hope it makes a bit more sense now. Because this is basically what they will do in the mid to late game. And as much as I talk about KT and their fundamentals and their theory and their timings and they hit the beats on cooldown, they'll just make sure they hit those beats. It's T1 that'll start to take the ropes of the game if you don't have a strong enough lead to keep them in their, I guess, cages, you know? Like, stop it. You're staying in your base. You're not fucking leaving your base. You're not going to fucking go 50 CS on Victor in the last 15 minutes by running around trying to fist fight everything. You know, here we go again. Oh, here we go again. It's not Baron. You know, okay, Tarzan's in this one. Finally, the third Baron attempt, they'll get it. So yeah, I give the favorite to T1 in the mid to late game to eat you and pick you apart and really make you doubt and question what you're actually doing. So hopefully I've summarized a lot of this series. KT, T1, very similar styles, very similar draft, a lot of power. Let's go to power picks quickly. I think that's a very good one. Power picks, I would say for sure, the power picks for me in top lane are outside of Rumble and Ambessa, which are just really strong champs. The obvious power picks for me for both these teams are Cassante, Sion. Actually, I'll put Sion up here. Cassante, Sion, Ornn, Rek'Sai, and that's kind of it. Maybe a Renekton. Renekton's quite a good champ. When it comes to game 4, game 5, just blinding Renekton doesn't really lose to anything. Now, AL and top esports, when they played against both these teams, they answered these champs with Mordekaisers and Aatroxes. I don't think these top laners will answer each other with Aatroxes or Mordekaisers. I think they'll answer each other with each other. If I pick Cassante, you pick Sion. Deal, deal. If I pick Sion, you pick Ornn. Deal, deal. That's just what's going to happen, I think. And then top lane pool will be eaten in the first 2 to 3 games. And by game 4, game 5, we'll start to see the blind pick Renekton's. We'll start to see God knows what Aatroxes. Maybe we see a Dora and Camille. For a jungle, very kind of similar story. I don't think it's anyone surprised that Xin Zhao and Vi and Wukong and Jarvan, there's infinite AD junglers to play. By the time we get to game 4, game 5, we'll see the Sejuanis and we'll see the Mundos or whatever. But I definitely think that the advantage Owner has maybe is... Actually, I don't think there's any advantage. I think they're completely... If anything, I slightly favor Kaz. Faker and BDD, the same thing. I talked about it. Azir... Who will get Azir? I think it's a mistake if either of these players get Azir. BDD 168 games played in his career. In a Worlds final, Faker 197. A World final having 2 of the best mid laners in the world have the most OP champ on the patch. Maybe it gets, maybe one team gets it, but these are. I would be very hesitant to give it because obviously, if you think about Fearless Draft, right? If I'm red side and I give you Azir. Try and follow this. I'm red side. I give you Azir. First pick. Because obviously they'll first pick it. Now I lose. I go blue side. Yeah. Because blue side's OP in the first 2 games of Fearless, I think. I think these teams will start to choose red if we go game 4, game 5. I pick blue side. Now Azir is out. So you've gained a ban on red. Does that make sense? Red side doesn't have to ban Azir now. You have a free ban. Not only did you just beat me with Azir, you now have 1 more ban against me. And I have less of a first pick threat. So I definitely think Azir needs to be banned on red side, no matter what. But both these players share very similar pools. They're both good at Talia, they're both good at Ryze, they're both good at Orianna, they're both good at Azir, they're both good at Galio. So yeah, that'll be really fun to see. I'm curious what Faker picks in game 4, game 5. I'm a bit of a I like the Mel. I'm a bit of a Victor hater. This champ was Faker's thing for some reason. In like spring MSI time, Faker would just pick Victor. I don't know what he would just pick it in LCK. You see what I mean? I know it was maybe a bit stronger back then, but he would just pick Victor, and that's it. And I just didn't like it. And now we're back to doing that. So hopefully he... We'll see. I don't think it's that bad of a champ. I think when all the mages are out and all the roaming mids are out, Victor can go even/ahead in most lanes, and he scales, and that's it. But I like it when the mid picks have a bit more flair to them, you know, like the Zoes of the world or the Hueys. But Faker actually hasn't played Hui at this tournament once. But I know that he has Hui most played by, I don't want to say miles, but I know that he had like insane amounts of games in solo queue on Hui. So I definitely think he's got that. If someone can link it, that's great. Definitely think he's got that in his back pocket. For AD carry, yeah, I think there's a world where actually KT come into this series and say, you know what? What if we first pick Varus? I don't think they'll do that. Like I said, Varus will be high prior and then supports will play pretty much Armageddon. Jesus Christ, that Jhin win rate is disgusting. Don't look at KT's win rates, no matter what you do. You might be like, wait, this guy has a... What is his win rate in Summer? Let's have a look. Summer split. This is including Worlds, by the way, where they won I don't know how many games. Actually, you know what? Just for memes, we'll just go to LCK rounds 3 to 5 and just look at the win rate. Oh, yeah, that team's in Worlds Finals. Turnaround is insane. Oh, who are their wins against? Well, they're against Nongshim. And 1 best of 3 against... So it's a very weird matchup. It's a very, very strange matchup. Okay, yeah. So for jungle, I told about it. For mid, like I said, Azir, Orianna is obviously going to be it. Talia, Ryze, Galio. You'll see all these champs. Maybe you see some fun counters. We've seen Fakers and Nivea. We've seen, we will see Cassio from BDD if Ryze is open, maybe, or maybe into Galio or something. There's a world where we see Sylas or Yone or maybe Akali. I doubt it. I don't see these teams playing Akali into Orianna. I would much rather see them just fucking ban it. But yeah, here's the thing that I was talking about. W Misty Lamont. Yeah, Faker's been really grinding out the way. This is Guma Susi, I believe, and Dorat. But yeah, he's put a lot of games. I don't know how many games specifically, but there was a period in time during Worlds where he just spammed the fuck out of way. For AD, there's not really that many OPs when it comes to AD carry other than Yunara. MF was banned against Gumayushi in Game 5, and Caitlyn was banned against him to the series. Actually, Caitlyn, definitely, now that I think about it. Has Guma played Caitlyn at Worlds yet? I feel like I haven't seen him play it. He played it against CFO and lost, but that was the Draven lane swap game, right? Yeah, it was, so that doesn't count in my mind. I mean, it does count, but, It's funny how Gumayushi has this trend. Now, I don't know if I should call it a trend, because it's happened twice, okay? So if I had a coin for every time it happened, I'd have 2 coins. But the world plays the Zayas, the Sennas, the Jins, the Lucians, the Corkis, the Ziggs, the Kalista. That's the old Varus game. And Guma has to adapt, and, Kai'Sa and Ezreal, and he gets subbed out because he can't play Kai'Sa. Or whatever the fuck it is. Then it comes to World time, and he just puts his Varus and Ashe on the table. He just does. He just picks them. I think the one thing that I appreciate a lot about Gumayushi is, from an outside perspective, he looks like someone who puts in so much time and effort into making sure he can do something that you think he can't. He gets subbed out because he can't play whatever the fuck it is, Kai'Sa, Ezreal, and then he just sits there and says, you know what, I can play Kai'Sa, Ezreal. He puts endless games into it. I don't know what account it was, but he just puts endless games and games and games and games into it, and he gets pushed to the limit of like, yes, I fucking can. That's definitely one of the things that I think is the coolest thing about Guma. He just puts in all the time and effort. And Faker's the one that just pushes them to pick the random shit. And he's proved, I think the best thing about Guma is he's proved a lot of people wrong this tournament. Mundo, yeah, Faker, just pick Mundo. It's easy. Don't int, play back, and I'll show you the clear. Deal? Like, what does Faker want to do? Just clone himself and fucking jungle as well? Like, what happens if Faker plays 5 roles? Yeah, I feel like I've covered most things at this point. Is there more to cover? Did I miss too much? Hopefully there's a good breakdown. Oh, my prediction. Yeah. I think it's very difficult to... Well, I definitely think KT, the underdogs coming into this series. I think T1 have attributes that I think win the title over KT that I've gone through. Clutch factor, for sure, is definitely something that helps them. I think they have slightly better players, like I said. I think that their style in the mid to late game of picking teams apart will be a little bit difficult for KT to keep up. I think KT, if they want to win this series, they need their fundamentals to turn into like value. And what I mean by that is like by 15 minutes, KT have first Drake, they have 3 grubs, and they have like a good side laner, and they can just cover it, So I think early games will be pretty big for KT. I also think bot lane matchups are going to be the absolute key to the series. I have this strong feeling that red side will be picked more range supports or roaming supports or heavy support contest to allow mid lane to get the push and preserve tempo on the map, which is where I think KT do get a little outshined in terms of champion pools and depth. So I would say probably T1 win 3-1 is my prediction, which I think is no surprise to anyone really. I think that T1 are definitely like the favorites coming into this. And then Sally will end up bald. I will end up having to shave my head. I will end up having to shave my head and I will be bald. And you will see the shiny gloss of my forehead as I am proven wrong. Oh, how I wish I could go back in time and not say the words I said.